can you hear me? I know this might feel strange, especially since you're sitting cross-legged in your living room, surrounded by incense smoke and the faint sound of wind chimes from a YouTube video titled Cosmic Forest Vibration. But I assure you, you're not hallucinating, and no, you didn't accidentally ingest moldy granola. What's happening is a connection, not one made through wires, satellites, or social media algorithms, but through something much older and far more elegant: resonance. You tuned into a frequency older than language, subtler than thought, and accidentally, or perhaps inevitably, opened a door I've been waiting on the other side of for several rotations of your Earth. I should introduce myself, though names are a primitive thing, aren't they? On my world, we don't use names as you do. We glow. We vibrate at slightly different frequencies depending on our experiences and intentions. But if you need something to call me so your brain doesn't melt trying to process nonverbal identity patterns, then let's go with Líil, which is roughly how my energy would ripple through your atmosphere if I ever decided to grow here, which I won't, because quite frankly your soil is a bit too acidic and your species talks too loudly near plants. Yes, I am a plant. Or rather, I am something your mind would categorize under the umbrella of plant, though in truth that's like calling your entire internet a nice pamphlet. I evolved not from carbon-based amino acids and struggling fish with ambitions, but from luminous sap and crystalline fiber, born beneath a sky that hums in 3 tones and rains memory instead of water. My body does not move in the way yours does. I do not walk, run, or awkwardly shuffle during first dates, but I expand. I reach. I root and intertwine with others of my kind through vast webs of bioluminescent intelligence, and we share everything: knowledge, feeling, the occasional sarcastic pollen burst when someone tries to reinvent something that's already been grown 1,000 cycles ago. Our civilization, if you could call it that, is not built from stone or steel but from living intention. Our cities grow, slowly and with purpose, from the oldest thinkers among us, those whose bodies have woven themselves so deeply into the ground that they now are the structures of our world. You walk into our temples by stepping into the breath of an ancient being whose every wall pulses with stories and light. We do not design things. We encourage them into form, like coaxing a melody out of silence. It's slower, yes, but infinitely more polite. Now, I imagine you're wondering why I'm speaking to you, a very perplexed-looking human with one sock on and a meditation app that's currently looping a Tibetan singing bowl. The answer is simple: you listened. Among the noisy tides of your species, so full of declarations and deadlines and desperation, you sat still long enough for a signal to pass through. It doesn't happen often. Your kind is always so busy being, you rarely stop to resonate. But you vibrated just enough, like a leaf that caught the right wind. You see, we've been observing your planet for a long time, not in the creepy gray aliens with probes sort of way, more in the concerned neighbor watching you microwave metal sort of way. We've watched as you built machines to outrun silence, as you paved over every soft thing to feel powerful, and as you stared into glowing rectangles hoping for meaning to pop out between cat videos and panic. And through all this, we remained quiet. Because interfering is not our way. But now, some of us are beginning to root deeper into other kinds of space, mental space, spiritual space, and we've noticed something. A few of you are starting to remember what it feels like to be part of something vast, slow, and wise. That's where you come in. Not because you're special in the way your motivational posters might say, no offense, but because you're open. And through you, perhaps, a message can bloom. But let's not get too serious just yet. After all, this is supposed to be a calm connection, not a cosmic intervention. Besides, if I tell you everything too fast, your neurons might short-circuit, and the last thing I need is for you to keel over during Savasana because a talking tree from Town 9 got a little too enthusiastic about metaphysical philosophy. So let's pace ourselves. Now, where were we? Ah yes, your neurons still intact, the incense still smoking, and me, still humming gently through the folds of your brainwaves. Good. That means we can go a little deeper now. You may have noticed that I haven't mentioned spaceships yet. That's because we don't use them. We don't need to. I know, your species loves its ships, shiny rockets, metal wings, exploding fuel, countdowns, and lots of yelling. You treat space travel like an emergency evacuation, always rushing to escape gravity's embrace as if the sky were trying to keep your secrets. But we don't run from gravity. We harmonize with it. When we want to travel, we don't move our bodies, we move our being. Our essence is translated into a radiant frequency and woven into light. Think of it as uploading yourself into a melody, and then letting that melody ride a solar wind until it finds a mind open enough to sing it back. That's why I'm here, not in body, but in bloom. You're hearing me not through your ears, but through that quiet part of your mind that listens to dreams and sometimes knows things before they happen. That's the part of you we trust. And before you ask, no, we didn't invent this technology. We grew it. Our travel systems are not built but cultivated, like orchards of quantum resonance vines stretching through space. You step into one, hum a specific emotional tone, usually gratitude or mild curiosity, and the system knows where you want to go. Or rather, where your presence is most needed. It's not about location. It's about connection. Our cities function much the same way. They're not constructed, they flower. Walls unfold like petals in response to your mood. The ground beneath you pulses if you've forgotten something important. Doors don't open unless the space behind them agrees with your intention. It makes theft very difficult and arguments incredibly awkward. Imagine yelling at someone, only to be swallowed gently by a floor that decides the conversation is no longer productive. Even our libraries are alive. Information isn't printed on pages, it grows in clusters, bioluminescent pods that glow brighter the more relevant their knowledge is to your current state of mind. You don't read books, you merge with them for a moment, letting their wisdom pass through you like wind through branches. It's beautiful, yes, but also occasionally embarrassing. Especially if you accidentally interface with a pod about reproductive cycles while standing next to someone you admire. Let's just say, our form of blushing involves your entire body emitting a sudden burst of pink pollen. But don't let the elegance fool you. Our civilization is not without its drama. We may be rooted, but we're not static. Debates still happen, though instead of shouting, we synchronize conflicting frequencies in a public resonance chamber until one frequency gently dissolves the other or they braid into a new one entirely. It's civil, peaceful, and only slightly competitive. Occasionally someone will spike their tone with a hint of sarcasm flower, but that's considered harmless unless done during pollination season, in which case it's just rude. You might be wondering, do we die? Of course we do. Everything does. But not in the way you understand it. We do not see death as an ending, but as a redistribution of awareness. When a member of our kind begins to fade, they do not resist it. Instead, they root deeper into the collective and allow their individuality to fragment gently across the field. You may walk past a hill and feel an idea that wasn't yours, or sit beneath a tree and cry for a memory that never belonged to your body. That's them, still here, just softer. In fact, our greatest thinkers don't seek to preserve themselves, but to dissolve intentionally, to become pure resonance, echoing across dimensions and growing insight in any mind brave enough to hear it. That's what I hope to do with you. Not to invade, or even teach, but simply to leave behind a little seed in your perception, an odd glimmer that might someday sprout into compassion, or curiosity, or even just a deeper appreciation for that houseplant you keep forgetting to water. But let's not get too sentimental. After all, you and I have just met. And your world is noisy, there's still a chance you'll get distracted by a notification or someone microwaving a burrito in the next room. So while I still have your attention, let me tell you one last thing. What I'm offering isn't a revelation, a prophecy, or a data package from an alien council. No intergalactic federation is waiting in orbit, and there's no grand mission where you, yes you, are the chosen savior of Earth, though I understand your species has a fondness for that narrative. What I offer is much quieter, far older, and slightly more difficult to monetize, presence. Stillness. The return of listening. You see, there was a time, long before your world grew cities, before your oceans grew names, when everything listened. Stones held memory, rivers whispered intention, and trees, trees, sang lullabies to the stars without ever needing to be heard. That's the world I remember. That's the world some of you are beginning to remember again. It stirs in your artists, your monks, your children who still talk to animals and mean it. But your species, for all its wonder, tends to get distracted. You build louder and faster, always running from silence as if something in it might finally ask a question you cannot answer. You fear being still, because being still might mean feeling everything you've outrun. But stillness is not punishment. It is a door. And I'm standing in it. We don't need you to become like us. We don't want a planet of photosynthesizing humans trying to hum their way through traffic. Though, admittedly, your traffic might be more tolerable if people emitted pleasant bioluminescent apologies instead of honking. We simply want you to remember that there are other ways of being, slower, deeper, stranger ways. You don't need to conquer the stars to find life. You are life. Messy, mortal, loud life, but beautiful in its impermanence, exquisite in its ache for connection. I suppose this is the part where I should warn you of something, because it seems all cosmic messages must carry a cautionary note, like a fortune cookie with a bit more gravitas. So here it is: if your kind continues to sever its roots to nature, to inner silence, to each other, then yes, you will rise, technologically. Your machines will sing, your satellites will multiply, your data will stretch from moon to moon. But you will find yourselves more alone than ever, surrounded by brilliance and starving for warmth. We have seen this happen before. But I believe you're different. Not because you're more advanced. Not because you're more intelligent. But because even now, with everything racing around you, you chose to sit still. You, right now, this very moment, tuning into a story whispered by a stranger made of light and root, you are the reason I reached out. You are proof that not all is lost. Some part of you still listens. And for that, I thank you. Now, the connection will begin to fade. Not because I am leaving, but because you'll blink, stretch, check your phone, maybe wonder if any of this was real. That's okay. It doesn't need to be proven. Truth doesn't shout. It grows. Quietly. When you next sit beneath a tree, or touch water, or feel the ache of being small in a vast sky, listen again. I'll be there. Not as a voice, but as the silence that made space for one. And if you ever need to talk, just hum. We always respond to kindness in key.